Right. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So today, inshallah, we are studying a new topic on sarf, a new irregularity. This is muda'af. Okay. And muda'af is basically where you have the ayn and the lam letter being the same. But before we do that, let's take a look at the story of muda'af. Okay. Because yeah, I really like this story because it's very practical. So I hope we can all appreciate it. Anyway, so Mudaf basically is a story of two lovers. There's these two letters that really they fell in love long time ago, and this is their story. So once upon a barbecue, you know the drill, long ago, somewhere in the deserts of Arabia, there were two lovers madly in love. Their names were Ain and Lam. So I think you should be making some connections here. When I say Ain and Lam, you should be having some idea what I'm talking about. Now, Ain and Lam, they loved each other so much that they ended up getting married. And it wasn't just enough that they got married, they actually became one. Like they became one letter. Like you could only tell it, they all became Lam. Okay, so Ain became Lam basically. That's how madly in love they were, that they became one. Now you couldn't even tell them apart because they looked the same. Okay. I mean, they were just basically one. But like every marriage, it has its issues. So Ain and Lam gave birth to a, a, a child, a baby called Shadda. Okay. Yeah, it's a halal love story. Yes. It's very much halal. Okay. Anyway, so they give birth to a baby called Shadda, but this Shadda is very intense, very temperamental, like yeah, just a uh very temperamental type of baby. And also, they had their own challenges. For example, there were times where they separated a bit, and then there were times actually they got divorced. Oh, the D word. But that happened. But because they loved each other so much, they tried to make it work. Okay. And sometimes Shadda would throw tantrums here and there and just walk away and go away, especially because Shadda is a very jealous kind of baby, okay? So if there's another baby in the picture, like a baby called Sukun comes into the picture, Shadda walks away. Or if, the father, the Lam or the Ain, one of the parents, they're hanging out with Alif, Shadda gets jealous and just walks away, okay? That's what you need to know about this baby Shadda. Very temperamental. Yeah, weird baby. Anyway, so that's basically the story of Lam and Ain. So let's take a look at what I just told you, that basic summary. Okay, so you have the Fa, Ain, Lam letters, okay? So every word in Arabic starts with Fa, Ain, and Lam, okay? So you have Fa, Ain, and Lam. But we're basically talking about Ain and Lam here in this case. Fa is basically like the father. So the father brought Ain, and then Ain got married to Lam. And for some reason, the father started bonding with Lam, and then Ain disappeared. Like, where's your wife? I don't know. The father-in-law and the father, sorry, and the son-in-law just bonded, and this is what he had. So you had the father, Ain and Lam became one, and then baby Shadda was born. So this is what happened in the Mahdi. So every form in the Mahdi is going to look like this. Falla. Okay? Every form in the Mahdi in the small families is going to look like this. And we will talk about this in detail. So when you see something like this, straight away this is Muda'af. But the most important thing about Muda'af is you need to know these three things. Okay? Three things you need to know about Muda'af. One, when the divorce happened, because it's a big deal. So you need to know when the divorce happened. You also need to know when they temporarily split, when Ain and Lam split, because it's like a temporary divorce, like a separation, which is allowed in Islam. You know how it happens in marriage, 6 months, you stay apart and then you work it out. So yeah, that happens in this marriage as well. So you need to know when that happens. And you also need to know when baby Shadda goes away. Like, because Shadda is such a temperamental baby. Like small things happen and then she just walks away or goes away. So you need to know these three things. Number one, when the divorce happens, when does it happen? It happens in the past, in the Mahdi, with them ladies. So when you reach the hunna, them ladies, they had about this amazing romance and beautiful love story of Ain and Lam, and they got jealous. Okay, they were like, you know what, we're gonna hatch a plan and we're gonna split these two people together apart. We're gonna split them. So them ladies, these women in the town, reminds me of the story of Yusuf. They got jealous. They decided they're gonna, do something about this relationship, and they did, and they got divorced. So from them ladies onwards, you have a split. You have a divorce happening. And then you come to the mudara, to the present. Them ladies, again, these women, hunna, don't know what's wrong with them. They wanted to create the same chaos. They wanted to create a split between these two couples. They tried, but people are like, nah, we already did that in the past. We're not interested in that right now. These guys, they look in love, they're such a good couple. Why would you want to do that? But your ladies and Tunna version, they were like, you know what? Your ladies, we're the same basically. We'll support you. So you have them ladies and your ladies and Tunna, so Hunna and Tunna in the Mudara, they basically split the couple up. Yeah, so that happens in the present. And then you have, lastly, when baby Shadda goes away. Remember I told you baby Shadda is a very jealous baby? So whenever there's an alif anywhere between Ain and Lam, if you put an alif in between here, between Ain and Lam, between the parents, Shadda is like, no, I'm too jealous. I cannot be in this family anymore. You guys don't love me. And then, Shadda goes away. Yeah, weird baby. So any alif, baby Shadda goes away. And then, of course, if there's a sukoon as well, one enemy. Like, I don't get along with sukoon. I don't trust sukoon. I don't like sukoon. Shadda goes away. And of course, also, if there's a divorce or a separation happens, Shadda also goes away. So that's basically story of Muda'af. It's an amazing story that you can probably relate to and probably have seen in so many movies. So, I mean, I want you to think of Muda'af and think about this story. It's just a love story that sometimes works out and sometimes it doesn't. It has funny moments, it has great moments. Shadda goes away sometimes, throws tantrums or gets annoyed, gets jealous. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the thing is, Ain and Lam, they like to stick together. And when they stick together, basically a Shadda is born. That is the story of Muda'af. So now let's take a look at the details of Muda'af and just try to imagine that story as we look at the rules and all that. Okay, so Muda'af, basically we said it's, when you have Ain and Lam being the same, they get married, they become one. Oops, did I go? I went, okay, yeah. So the type of irregularity is at the end. And of course, when they become one, a Shadda is born. All right. So now let's look at some of the general rules. This applies to both Mazid Feehi and Mujadda, and small families and big families. So this is more like a general type of thing. Important thing to know is that there are three kinds of majzoom. And when you say majzoom, the lightest version, so there are three kinds of the lightest version, which means there are three kinds of amr and there are three kinds of nahis in the huwa version. I forgot to put here. This should have been in huwa version. Okay. Because I don't want you to imagine that this is everything. This is just in the huwa version. So you have a fatha, a kasra, and a shadda break. Where the shadda splits, when you have a split and then the shadda goes away. So these are the three cases when that happens. So you have a fatha, kasra, and shadda going away because you have a sukoon coming in. So let's look at some of the examples. So for example, you have hajja, you see the fatha there. Huwa hajja, huwa again hajji. These are commands. Anta. So anta hajja, anta hajji, or hajij. So you see the sukoon there. The sukoon came. What happened to the shadda? Shadda was like, bye. I don't want to see you. I hate you. You smell. I don't like you. I don't want to be near you. Shadda went away. Okay. So you're left with sukoon. Hajij. All right. So for as long as the parents are together, Shadda doesn't have a problem. But for as long as the parents get a new baby, Shadda has a problem. In this case, baby sukoon came in. Like, nope, I'm out of here. That's what happened there. Or you have, for example, in this small family example, you have Izza, Izzi, and I'ziz. Again, Sukun came into the picture, and Shadda was like, bye-bye, went away. So that's one of the general rules. The other one is, like we said, Shadda and Sukun, they don't really get along. So if Shadda is there, Sukun goes away. And if you have a fight between Sukun and Shadda, guess who wins? Shadda wins. Because Shadda is such a pretty intense baby. I mean, the baby is called Shadda, for crying out loud. So very intense. Yeah. So that's what happens. So you have, for example, in the Mudara, you have, it was supposed to be Azza Ya'zizu Yadribu. Remember? Azza Daraba Yadribu. So Azza Ya'zizu. It was supposed to be Ya'zizu. But then we don't like this in Mudaf. We don't like two letters coming together like this. And remember we said they were just madly in love. They became one. So you have Ya'zu. You can't even read this. So you have a fight between Sukun and Shadda. Shadda is born, but Sukun is there. Shadda is a pretty jealous baby and is like, you know what? If you guys want me to stay in this family, Sukun has to go. And so, okay, so the parents are like, okay, so what do we do? Remember, there's a kasra on the za letter here. So they're like, okay, fine, we'll take that kasra. So that kasra comes back. So it becomes ya'izu. So that's kind of what happened there. Same thing with, if you're looking at a big family, for example, yuhibbu, it was ahabba, ahbaba, yuhbibu, but we don't like that ba repeating sound. They don't like that repeating sound. So they got rid of that by introducing a shadda, giving back to a baby shadda. So now you have yuhbu. You can't pronounce that. There's a fight between sukun and shadda. So what happened? Shadda wins, and then whatever haraka was on the ain letter comes back. So you have yuhibbu. Okay. And then another just common general rule is that when you have any separator between ain and lam, it could be an alif or it could be a sukun, then shadda goes away. Like shadda, and you have a split. And remember when we said if there's a split between the two, shadda does not stay in a divorce or in a separated marriage. Like it just goes away. It's like, you guys have so many issues. I'm not going to stay here. Fix your issues, then I'll come back. What a baby. Anyway, so that's what happened. So for example, if you have the command form, ahbib, ahbib, like aslim. So you have ahbib, sukun is there. Shadda says, you know what, bye. I'm not going to stay here. Or for example, in the masdar, where you have ihbaban. Remember, islaman. There's an alif in the container, right? So there's a new baby between the father and the mother. And Shadda is like, what? New baby? I don't want to be in this family anymore. Shadda goes away. So you have a separation. You have a split happening there. Ihbaban. All right. Any questions so far? I hope it's pretty straightforward, pretty clear. Okay, great. So we look at Mazid Feehi. We're going to start with Mazid Feehi because it's simple. It's pretty straightforward. And then we'll go to Mujarrad. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. Yeah. All the families are affected when it comes to this. And I mean all, except the Shadda families. Why not the Shadda families? Because already there's a Shadda. What do you want? Two Shaddas in the same family? Like it's already intense, okay? So like, for example, Allama family, already there's a Shadda. You can't put another Shadda there. Like, what are you trying to do here? Also, Ta'allama. Ta'allama, there's a Shadda. So you don't get a muda'af is not, there's no irregularity in this one. So you have khaffafa, ta'addada, it's pretty normal. There's no joining that happens, in other words. So that's why you see fa and fa here. Khaffafa. Because there was already a shadda, there was already a baby there. It was all good. Ta'addada, same thing. Yes, Saima, you have a question?
Yes, sister. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you just please explain the last point again? That when the alif comes and the sukoon and the shadda goes away? Yeah, this one. Any separator, alif and sukoon, this one.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's take an example. Let's do ahabba yuhibbu. Okay. So it was supposed to be, it's Aslama family, right? So it was supposed to be ahbaba yuhbibu. Ihbaban. Right? That was supposed to be the sarf.
Mm.
But then remember, with this irregularity, we don't want two sounds coming together like that. If they come together like that, we fuse them. They become one. So if you have ahbaba, so for example, ahbaba, these two sounds coming together, baba, there's nothing in between them. See? There's just ba and ba coming very close together. Arabs don't like that. It's like, if you're this close, you better get married, because dating is haram. So if you're this close, make it halal. So they made it halal, and it became ahabba, right? So they got married, they become one. Yeah. But then
Yeah.
you come to yuhbibu, they also don't like that. They were like, yuhbibu, too close. This is haram stuff happening. Better make it halal. So it became yuhbibu, yuhibbu, yuhibbu. So far, so good. Then you
Yeah.
come to the masdar, it's ihbaban, it's islaman. Now
Yeah.
there's a problem, because in the container of islaman, there's an alif, right?
Yes.
Now you have ihbaban, okay? And then the Arabs are like, you know what? Okay, so this is pretty okay, because, there's a mahram in between. Yeah. Somebody is monitoring this relationship, is not going in a haram way. Like, they're not so close together. It looks fine. So they're like, okay, fine. There's an alif in between. It's fine. No problem. You don't need to fuse. You don't need a shadda. It's okay. Yeah. So if you have between the two same letters, if something comes between them, then you have it's okay. It's considered fine. Now the point about the sukoon is, when you have like a sukoon now between basically the shadda goes away. This is a case where the shadda goes away. So you cannot say like sukoon and shadda cannot come together. It's not easy to. So yeah. So in such a case where the sukoon is present, basically shadda goes away. That's the whole idea.
Like in the Amars.
Yes, like in Amr, yeah. So you'll not find a shadda in the Amrs, for example. Especially in the last one. Because remember we said there are 3 Amrs because they're majzooms. So in the last one, you will not see a shadda. The first 2, there's a shadda. Because the 2 letters are together, it's halal. But then in the last one, because there's a sukoon, shadda goes away.
Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah. Yes, Fauzia.
There was a time when Ustad was doing this, and he did not explain why we get kasra in the separation.
Okay.
Would you be able to explain?
Sure. It's not necessarily a kasra, by the way. It depends. It depends what family it is. And we'll look at that when we're looking at mujarrad, especially, because that happens a lot in mujarrad. You have to know which vowel is going to come back. Is it a fatha? Is it a kasra? Is it a dhamma? Because it depends. Okay. And also, it varies. If you come to majhul, there's also going to be, we expect an u-a sound or a u-e sound, depending on that. So let's take an example. The example I gave here was for azza ya'izzu, and that's why you see a kasra, because this is daraba yadribu. Okay, so it was azaza ya'zizu. So you see here ya'zizu, and then they made it halal, put a ring on it, and then you have ya'izzu, which is, you can't read this, it becomes impossible. So they're like, okay, what do we do? So they got rid of the sukoon. And when they got rid of the sukoon, remember there was a kasra that was here, which disappeared here. So they're like, oh, let's bring the kasra back. So the kasra came back. That's how you have ya'izzu. But what if, for example, it was a different family? Let's say it was, so you see, azza here is from daraba family. What if it was shakka, yashuk? Well, I've already told you. So if it's Nasara family, it was Shakaka Yashkuku. Nasara Yansuru. Shakaka Yashkuku. But then they merged it, it became. So you have Yashku. You can't pronounce this. We're like, okay, wait a second. There was a dhamma. Remember, yash kuku? There was a dhamma there. So they brought back the dhamma and it became yashukku. See that? So it depends on which vowel it was on the ain letter that is going to come back. And we'll see that when we get to Sarf Kabir as well. It's more prominent there. Same thing with fataha. So massa, we don't say yamsu. We're going to say massa because it's fataha yaftahu. Massa yamassu. See that? Sami'a. So this one, remember in the Madi, it's going to be just dhalla. You can't have dhilla. It's not going to be there. All of them is just going to be dhalla, shakka. Remember we talked about falla. All the patterns are going to be like this. They're going to look like this. The father of the bride and the husband, they sort of like just have a bromance going on here. So this is what happens in the Madi. Okay. So all of them are going to be in this pattern, falla. So shakka, azza, massa, dhalla. So that's kind of what you have. So it's going to be dhalla, but sami'a, yasma'u, dhalla, yadhallu. Now it pretty much sounds like massa, yamassu. So you're like, okay, how do I know the difference? We'll see the difference when it comes to Sarf Kabir. When it comes to Sarf Kabir, when you get into the details, you see the kasra coming back in sami'a, yasma'u. And that's when you know the difference. But otherwise, it pretty much sounds the same. Like massa, yamassu, and dhalla, yadhallu. It looks pretty much the same, although they're different families. Okay, is that clear? Hope.
Yes, thank you.
All right, alhamdulillah. Okay, so I wanted us to look at Mazid Feehi today, probably, and then tomorrow we can look at Mujarrad. So we said it affects every family except the Shadda family, and I told you why. The Shadda is already there. You don't need an extra Shadda. It doesn't make any sense, and it will be too intense. So yeah, that's what happened. And then one other thing to just remember is that in the Jahada family, specifically in the Jahada family, the Mudara looks exactly the same as the Mabni lil Majhul. Mudara, the active version, and the Mudara, the passive version, they look the same. They're all gonna sound like this. Yushaqu. How did that happen? Let's take a look at how that happened. So let me clear some of this stuff up. Then I can explain to you. Okay. So you have sheen, qaf, and qaf. These are our root letters, right? We're putting it in the jahada family. So the madi is going to be sha. It was supposed to be sha qaqa, right? Write that nicely. Sha qaqa. Jahada, right? Sha qaqa. But then we said, you know, this is too close. We don't like it. So it became sha qa. Okay, shaqa. Then you come to the mudari'. It was going to be yushaqiqu, like yujahidu. Then again, this haram relationship here, we want to fix that. So you have yushaqu. Okay, yushaqu. Now we see how already the mudari' comes to that. But what about the passive then? So the passive, shuqa. So that was it was supposed to be shuqiqa, juhida. So then we're like, qiqa, we don't want that. So shuqa, that would be the madi. So here you have shuqa, shuqa. And then the mudari' is supposed to be yujahadu. There's a fatha. Remember? You are in the mabni lil majhul, in the passive version. You are. Yujahadu. If you were to write that, that's going to be yushaqaqu. So yushaqaqu. They merge this, and then you end up with yushaqu. And this became the same as that. See? Because the vowel on the ain letter on the first qaf, it got eaten up. It disappeared. And that's why it's the same. Whether it's مضارع معلوم or مضارع مجهول, whether it's the active line or the passive line. So that's specific to family tree. Something to always remember by. But other than that, they pretty much behave the same. The big families, they pretty much behave the same. And when we get to Sarf Kabir, you'll just see like we're repeating the same patterns in the same way. Now, the other thing to note, remember when we started, when we did Sarf in the beginning, basic Sarf, we did this table, okay? So we said family 8 sometimes goes through some change when it is followed by certain letters. These letters, it's called idgham. Fusion kind of happens, you know, merging. So, or the ta gets swallowed up by some letters. So if you have a sad, it becomes a ta. If you have a dad, it becomes a ta. If you have a ta, it gets a shadda. Kind of how, you know, we just talked about that. If it's the same, they get married, they look the same, you know, things like that. If it's a da, you either have da or you have a ta. You have a val, you either have a val or a da. So that's kind of just a summary of what we talked about earlier on, the concept of idgham when it comes to family 8, and you know how the letters change. So same thing happens in muda'af. Where are we? Muda'af. Where's muda'af? Here we are. Muda'af. So same thing, you have that kind of thing happening. So for example, اضطر. So you see there's a shadda at the end. That means there are 2 ras. So that means the root letters is dad, ra, and ra. These are the 2 root letters here. But because there's a dad in the beginning, to say idta, it's very difficult to go from a frowning face to a smiling face, because remember those are the 2 different, you know, there are certain letters that you say with a frown, and then there are certain letters you say with a smile. Ta is a letter you say with a smile. Yeah, you smile. But do, you're angry, you know, you're frowning. Do. So to go from a frown to a smile, it's very difficult for the Arabs for some reason. So they, and again, you know, they like to make their language beautiful. So they decided, you know what, let's just stick to one. Let's make a frowning face. It's easier to make a frowning face than to make a smiling face. So they got rid of the smile, and maybe because they live in the desert and life is hard, so they decided, you know, frowns are better for some reason. So now they say اضطر. Instead of اضطر, it became اضطر. Okay, so that's just kind of what happens there as well. It's something that happens in family 8. It's pretty common. Okay, so that's مزيد فيه. مجرد, the small families, again, it's very simple. What you need to know is in the ماضي, the past tense, they all look the same, regardless whether it's nasara, whether it's daraba, whether it's sami'a, whatever it is, it's always going to look like this. Falla, massa, shakka, azza, dalla. It's always going to look like this. Okay. And then it's also important to just know in this isms, the shadda stays. Shadda does not go away. So that makes our life easy, because we don't have to worry about the shadda going away. In the ala, in the ظرف, in the اسم فاعل, and اسم تفضيل, the shadda stays. All right. Any questions so far? Okay, great. Like we mentioned, all the families are affected. All of them, except the shadda families, as you can see. There's already a shadda. So there's no merging that happens here between the last 2 letters. But other than that, guess what? For the first time, we are seeing family 9 involved. For the first time. Family 9, we said, is a family of colors. But this family of colors and disabilities, family of colors and disabilities, but this family, it's always going to be muda'af, always. Because remember, you see a shadda at the end. Ihmarra, iswadda, ibyadda. There's a shadda at the end. So this family is always going to be treated as muda'af. And that's why for the first time, we're actually seeing family 9 being active. Although we won't focus much on it, but basically just so that you know that this is also kind of doubling at the end, a type of muda'af. All right. So you see, this is why probably muda'af, some people think muda'af is difficult, but it's just because it happens in every single family. The irregularity happens in every single family, so it looks like a lot. But as you have seen, such a beautiful love story, honestly. Just two people coming together, they got married and had a baby, Shadda, and that's basically it, really. Yeah. So I don't wanna I'm gonna skip the Sarf Kabir part of it because I want us to look at Sarf Kabir when we do Sarf Kabir. So I'll skip the rules on Sarf Kabir, so that today we just focus on Sarf Sagheer. So basically, some identification tricks. If you see a word and you don't know, is it mudaf or not mudaf, ask yourself, what is the last letter? What is the lam letter? Okay, what is the last letter? The lam letter. And if the lam letter has a shadda on it, then that's mudaf for you. If the lam letter has a shadda, that's mudaf straight away. But it shouldn't be confused with nun al-thaqila. And nun al-thaqila, this is where you have la yaqtulanna. You know, when we talked about, the noons that you add for heaviness, Ustad talked about the heavy noon and the heaviest noon. So when you add a noon, it becomes heavy, la yaqtulanna, for example. And then you add another noon, it becomes heavy. Yes, it becomes la yaqtulanna with a shadda. So don't just look at la yaqtulanna and say there's a shadda at the end, so this is mudaf. No, that's heaviest noon. That should be straight away a dead giveaway. If you see a shadda on a noon and it's a verb, then most likely that's a noon al-thaqila. But that's pretty much a very easy way to identify mudaf, because there's a shadda on the lam letter, not on the ain letter, on the lam letter. Okay, it's very important, and not on the fa letter, it's on the lam letter. Because, for example, if I gave you a word allama, we have come across this a lot. Where's the shadda? Is it on the ain letter or the fa letter, on the lam letter? Where is it? What do you guys think? Where's the shadda?
Lam letter. So ain letter.
This is the ain letter. See, you see the shadda is on the ain letter, not on the lam letter. But if you had amma, for example, I don't know if this word exists, but if you had a word like that, so you see the shadda is on the last letter, is on the lam letter. Now you know this is mudaf, but the first one is not mudaf. So that's very important to know, okay? And then, of course, if you see that the ain letter equals the lam letter, they're the same. So, for example, we know that sometimes a split happens or a divorce happens or something separates them. There's an alif that comes between these two letters. But if you notice, for example, like we did the example of ihbaban, if you notice, the ain letter and the lam letter are both bas, this is definitely mudaf. That's how you just identify this stuff really quickly and easily. So mudaf is one of the easiest, I think. Well, not easiest, but pretty much it's easy if you understand the few things that you need to understand. Okay, great. I forgot to ask you guys if there's anybody who wants to participate. So this is about the time. If you want to participate, we're going to do the Sarf Sagheer, inshallah, of these families here. So you can raise your hand if you want to participate. Okay, so we have Saima here. And we have Ralin and we have Mazida. Okay, great. So we're going to start with big families before we go to the small families. So start with you, Saima. You're going to do khain, kha, fa, and fa, and they should be easy because family 2 is a shadda family. So you're pretty much doing normal stuff. There's no irregularity here. Okay.
Bismillah. خفف يخفف تخفيفا فهو مخفف خفف يخفف مخفف فهو أمر فهو علم خفف
Okay.
والنهي
Yeah.
والنهي it is لا تخفف and
لا
ظرف is
لا.
لا تخف
What is the علم family? What is the command in the Nahi, Raji?
لا تعلم.
Yeah. تعلم, you said. So
Oh,
what will
sorry.
it be?
لا تخفف.
Yes.
And then ظرف will be مخفف.
Beautiful. Yeah. So just watch out for the first three families. Aslama family, Allama family, Jahada family. They have a U in the beginning or a two in the beginning. Something always to remember. Okay. Let's have Ralin next. Get Jahada family.
جهد شاق شاق يشاق شقاق شق يشاق جهد يجهد يجهد جهادا ومجاهدة مشاقق
What is that?
مفعول
مشاقق.
مشاقق
Do you think?
الأمر
No, come on.
yeah.
Is it مشاقق?
Yeah.
Why? You have qiqo? What happens when they're so close together like that?
أو مشاق
Yes.
الأمر منه شقي
شاقي. You prolong the sha.
الأمر منه شاقي النهي عنه لا تشاقي وظرف منه مشاق.
Okay, good. Although remember the amr, there are three kinds of amr. So especially for the Hua version, so you have shaqa, shaqi, shaqiq. And then la tushaqi, la tushaqa, la tushaqiq. So there are three kinds of amr.
شاق لا تشاقي. Another one.
Shaqiq, where you split the letters.
Okay.
Good. Next we have Mazida. Let's go. You get Aslama family.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So it's Ahabba, Yuhibbu, Ihbaban. No.
Yes, you're right. Ihbaban.
Yeah.
With an alif.
Okay. Then is Uhibbu. And then is
Are you doing passive line?
no, sorry. I'm still on the passive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Muhibbun.
Yes.
But then it's Al-Amru Minhu.
So
no,
before you go to the amr.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused now. Yeah, let me go back. Yeah. So I'm on file. So I just did the file, didn't I?
Yeah.
Then is this passive, yeah? Okay. So the passive is Ahibbu, Wuhibbu.
Ui. Ui.
So ui is Wuhibbu.
Ba.
Uhibba.
Yes, uhibba.
Uhibba. Yuhabbu.
Yes.
Then it's what's next? Maful, okay. Then is إحبابا.
مفعول. What is the مفعول?
All right.
So
Ma-
مسلم is اسم فاعل. What is the اسم مفعول?
محب.
مح
محب.
Yes, محب. Because remember the فتحة مسلم محب.
Yeah. محب. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
And then is then am I on Amar now? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 of them remember for the whole version.
Okay. So it's أحب.
أحب.
أحب. Sorry. أحب.
Uh-huh.
Then is أحب. And then is
You have فتحة, you have كسرة, and then you have the split happening.
أحبب.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting confused now. Right. So what's next? What's left? The Nahu. Okay. So it's La Tuhibbu,
Mm-hmm.
and
لا
then
تحب.
it's sorry, La Tuhibba,
Uh-huh.
and then the last one is Dalf is Muhtab.
More.
Muhtab.
Remember the ظرف is always the same as the اسم مفعول.
Right. It's Muhabbu.
Yes, محب. Good. So I'm just gonna go back to the amr because I feel like that's it could cause a little bit of issues so that we understand what happens in the amr. So like we mentioned, there are 3 kinds of amrs in the huwa version, which means 3 amrs, 3 nahis. Okay, 3 commands, 3 forbiddings. Now the first one is where you have shadda and a fatha together. So I want you to think like that. Like the first amr, shadda and fatha together. However it's gonna end is gonna end with shadda and a fatha. And then the second one is gonna end with a shadda and a kasra. Okay, so here for example we had hajja, shadda and a fatha together, and then haji, shadda and a kasra together, and then you have the last amr where you split now the letters. Now, which haraka are you going to put on this? It depends. You look at jahid. You just basically match that family. So you see jahid, al-amru minhu jahid, hajij. That's what happened there. Okay. Same thing with the small families here, for example. So you have fatha and a shadda together. So it was supposed to be, it's going to be izza, because shadda and a fatha together. Then shadda and a kasra together, izzi. And then now you split. But how do you know which vowel to put on this letter? How do you know? You ask yourself, which family is this? Daraba yadribu. What is the command of daraba yadribu? It's idrib. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'ziz. See that?
So any of you started with the assignment?
No, not yet. I've been so busy with work. Couldn't
Okay.
start.
Okay.
I think I've just done the first 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry guys, my internet just disappeared. Happened. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I don't know what happened. My internet got cut out. Sorry about that. So I'm just gonna go back to sharing my screen. I don't know what was the last thing you guys had. Did you guys hear about my explanation on the commands?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, just to summarize that, you have 3 kinds of commands for the Huwa version. Fatha with a shadda, kasra with a shadda, and you have the 2 letters splitting. But how do you know how they will split? You think about the normal amr in that family. If it's jahada, then jahid. If it's idrib, if it's daraba, then idrib, so on and so forth. If it's fataha, iftah. If it is nasara, then unsur. So it's going to be ushkuk, for example. Shakka yashukku, the amr is going to be ushkuk here in this case. So just think of that shadda split and think about what the normal version looks like. If it looks like unsur, make it unsur. If it looks like aslim, then make it like aslim. So it's going to be, for example, ahbib. Yeah. So that's just a reminder there. Okay, let's continue with the sarf here. I think maybe we can extend 5 more minutes just to go through this exercise, inshallah, because we started a bit late, so we can maybe extend it a little bit. We go back to Saima.
Yes.
Okay, so you do number. This is
5.
really 5.
Again, no change. No, in the 6th there is no change. There will change in the 5th one, right?
No. 5 again, no change. Maybe we swap.
Ta'allama.
Maybe somebody else does this so that you do something
Yeah.
with some change.
Hmm.
Ralin, maybe you can do this one.
family. 5.
Yeah, family fine. 5. علم.
تعلم.
تعلم, yes, sorry. تعلم.
The shared family don't get the change, right?
Yes, it's the same.
تعلم. تعدد يتعدد تعددا فهو متعدد.
Mm-hmm.
تعدد يتعدد متعدد.
Mm-hmm.
الأمر منه الأمر منه تعديد.
What is the amr? What is the amr for تعلم?
تعليم.
No, think again. What is the مضارع version?
تعلم يتعلم تعلم تعلم.
تعلم or So what is the مضارع? Let's go back. What is the مضارع?
Okay, the مضارع is تعلم يتعلم.
يتعلم. See the fathas? This is one of the families that is called fatha family because it has fathas everywhere. يتعلم. Then of course at the end, all mudari's have to end in a dhamma. So يتعلم. Fathas everywhere. So obviously when you make an amr out of this, so you have يتعلم. يتعلم. If you get rid of the so you have, and you make it jazm, it's going to be?
تعلم.
Yes.
Okay.
تعلم.
الأمر منه تعلم. So تعدد.
Yes.
النهي أن لا تتعلم لا تتعدد. وصرف منه متعدد.
Yes. Beautiful. So just because we've done the Fatha family here, تعلم, I'm just going to point out that family 6 also shares that similarity with family 5. So family 5 and 6, تعلم and تساءل, you can see that you can hear the fathas. تعلم, and then you have تساءل. Fathas everywhere. So they're called fatha families. So when you get to the command, remember to also make sure you capture that fatha. Okay, Saima, you can do
Yeah.
family 6.
Stay home.
Yes, sorry.
Tahajja.
Sorry,
maybe-
I need to leave now. Thank you for the class today.
Okay, sure, no problem. We'll be ending shortly anyway. Fine. Okay. Yes, Sister Saima, you can go on.
Tahajja. Yatahajju.
Taha-
Tahad.
Oh yeah. Okay, go on,
Yataha.
sorry. Mhm.
Sorry. Tahajja. Yatahajju. Tahad. Masdar will be tasa'alun. So tahajjun. Tahajjun.
Yeah. You can
It
say
is correct.
tahajjun, yes.
Tahajjun.
Yes.
Okay. Then file will be mutasa'ilun. Mutahajjijun. Mutahajjijun?
Do we want jijun though?
No. So
No.
mutahajjun.
Yes. Hajun.
Mutahajjun. Then Madi Majhul. It will be tu su tu ui
Mm-hmm.
tu si ila
Tusu.
tu si ila
Tusu.
okay u and then e.
Yes.
So it will be tu hu chi
Tuhu. Because we don't want tuhujja, it will be.
tu hu ja.
We were going to say tuhujija, but
Yeah.
you remember we kill off the ain letter, the haraka goes away, so you just take on the lam letter. Tuhujja.
Tu hu ja. Then yutahaju.
Mm-hmm.
Then Masdar again will be tahajjun.
Mm-hmm.
Maf'ul will be mutasa'alun. So mutahajjun. So this is both same, na? Fa'il and majhul are same.
Yes.
Mutahajjun and mutahajjun.
Yes, I forgot to write it there. So the alif families, in fact, this shouldn't have been family 3. This should have been family 3 and 6. Like the alif families, they have this similarity. You're right. Yes, that's going to be the same. Yes.
Okay, and then will be the amar. So amar will be tuhad.
Amr.
Oh,
It's a fatha
It will-
family, remember?
yeah. So yatasa'alun. So ya will be dropped. So it will be hajju. No. Hajja.
There's a ta in this
Haji.
family, right? There's a ta in this family. Tasa'ala,
Tahaj.
yata. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Tahajja. Tahaji.
Uh-huh.
And tahajjij.
Yes. Taha, sorry,
Jaj.
the last one?
Tahajjaj.
Yes. Tahajjaj. You remember the fatha. Good.
Don't know everything. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Can you tell me the masdar again? The hajjujan?
No. So the masdar is going to be like tasa. What is the masdar for tasa'ala?
Tasa'ulan.
Tasa'ulan. So it was going to be tahajjujan.
Tahajjujan.
We don't want that. So it's going to be tahajjun or tahajjan, depending on the haraka that ends at the end, or tahajjin if it's dafa nasab or jar. Like, depending on that.
Masdar does not separate in these families.
No, only in the aslama family and the istaghfara family, because you have an alif there, then you have a separation. And also in family 3, in the first masdar, like jihadan, so it's going to be hijajan wa muhajjatan. The second masdar doesn't separate, but the first one, because there's an alif, it's going to separate. So for as long as there's no separation, there's nothing that comes between the last 2 letters, you'll always maintain the shadda. You'll always keep the letters 1. But if there's something that comes between them, then you separate. I hope that's clear.
So it is hajjun.
Yes.
Sorry, hajjan.
Let me just confirm again from the book, because I don't want to say something and maybe I'm wrong. This is we're doing ناقص. We're doing مضاعف. Sorry. So مضاعف family 3. اسم مفعول and ظرف and اسم فاعل. This one we said basically family 3 and 6. Everyone just said right now. So let's see the مصدر. Family 3. حجاب. No, it's family. What are we doing? Family 6. Family 6. So you see, tamasan. You can say tamasun, depending on, but normally masdars have a fatha on it, normally. But depending on what role it's doing in the sentence, it could have a dhamma also. So you see, you don't split the scenes. Tamassa, tamassan, like that.
تساؤل مصر.
Yeah.
Who in the middle is the verb?
Sorry?
تساؤلا.
Tasa'ulan? Yeah.
تساؤلا.
Tasa'u. It was supposed to be tamasusan. In this case, it was supposed to be tamasusan. But then Susan, they didn't like that. So it became tamassan. Tamassan. So there's a stress in the last letter to show that these are actually two letters together. It's not one letter. Tamassan. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's go back to this exercise. So we can finish the big families, and then inshallah next week we can start with the small families. So we can do family 7, 8, and 10. So there's you, Saima. Oh, there's even fewer people. You want to do it by yourself, Saima?
Sorry, what?
Do you want to do all the last 3 by yourself? Family 7,
Yeah.
8, and 10?
Inshallah, I'll try.
Okay, bismillah.
Okay, family 7. So family 7 is in Kalaba.
Yes, good.
In Kalaba. So in Shakka, yan in Kalaba yanqalibu. So yashaqu. Yashqu. Yanqalibu. So yan yanshaqu. Because
Yes.
kiku will come. Right?
Good. Yes.
And then so yanshaqqa, yanshaqu. مصدر انقلابا انشقاقا
Yes.
وهو مشك منشق.
Yes. Good.
And then مفعول will be again منشق. Both will be same, right?
Yeah. And ظرف also.
And ظرف also مشق. Okay. So if it comes in a Quran, then we have to see like what is the context. So it can be some file also and maf'ul also, right?
Yeah.
He
But
will
remember
be
this family, there's no passive line.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be the isim fa'il and the darf.
Yeah. And then Amar will be there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Maf'ul will not be there. Yeah. Right. So then Amar will be in qalaba yanqalibu. Inqalib. Inqalib. So in shakik will be the broken one. Then in shaki, in shaka.
Beautiful. I'm so happy right now.
Me too. Okay, then family iftaraba now. So ihtazza yahtazzu ihtizazan fahuwa muhtazin.
Muhtazun.
Muhtazun.
Yeah.
Muhtaz. And then speaking maf'ul will be same muhtazun.
Yeah. And darf also.
Darf also muhtazun. And then so passive line will be tuz اقترب اقتربوا. So
No,
اهتزوا.
no, you had it the first time. What you were saying the first time was the correct thing. Oh,
Sorry. Uh, اهتزوا.
oh, two.
Sorry. اهتزوا.
Oh, tuzza. It's gonna be oh,
Uh,
tuzza.
Okay, it's a past tense. اهتزا.
Mm-hmm.
يهتزوا
Mm-hmm.
اهتزازا فهو مهتز.
Yes.
Then Amar will be اهتزز اهتزا اهتزي.
Beautiful. But remember when you break, there's no shadda, so you don't say ihtazzis. You just say ihtazis.
اهتزز, yeah.
Yeah.
اهتزز.
Okay, good.
And then استغفر.
Mm-hmm.
So استقر
Mm-hmm.
يستقر استقرارا فهو مستقر, right?
Yeah.
Then استغر استغر
Yeah.
استغر
Mm-hmm.
يستغر استغرارا فهو
استقرارا.
استقرارا.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. استقرارا فهو مستقر.
Yes.
أمر منه استقرر
Uh-huh.
استقري.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Nice.
Then I have to do these ones also, last ones.
No, this one we'll leave it for next time. I think that was a amazing job you did. If I had gummy bears like Ustaz, maybe I would have sent you, but I don't. So you have virtual gummy bears. That's really good. Fauzia, you want to say something?
No, I was just so happy.
Yeah, we're also happy for you, Saima. That was really good job. I mean, you struggled through it and you got it. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. So I think we can end there because today we went a little bit overboard in time. But inshallah, tomorrow we'll start from this part, Sarf Sagheer of the small families, and we start maybe Sarf Kabir as well, so that we get this concepts solid, inshallah. I don't know if there are any other questions before we end.
Yeah. Sister Ilham, can you please explain that adjective idafa also tomorrow?
Okay, I can try. Maybe we if we end a little bit early, I can take maybe 5 minutes to just explain it. I'm not so I don't know, I'm not 100% sure of it because I haven't reached that part of EMSA, but I will try inshallah. No problem.
Because like that part is, I think then it is repeated again and again at the beginning of the each paragraph.
Yeah.
From Minzalik,
Come on.
something. Yeah, again and again it is being repeated.
Yeah. We'll try inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay, so I'm gonna end the recording. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.